Hello my friend and welcome back. Today we're talking about periods because, well, yes, they can be really annoying to have. Not having them, although you should be having them, is even worse because that's a sign that something in your body is really off. And I had and kind of ignored that sign for about 2 years before I decided to go all in and to do everything in my power to get my period back after living a very healthy lifestyle for a long period. And I did get it back within 6 weeks of going all in. So in this video, I want to share my journey with hypothalamic amenorrhea and share what exactly I did and what science says you should do if you've been missing your period for a while, because you're not alone. So many women struggle with this, yet it's still not being talked about nearly enough. But I want to change that, which is why I'm making this video. And this is how the video is going to be structured roughly. But before I start talking about my journey and what you should do if you're in a similar situation, I want to first distinguish hypothalamic amenorrhea from PCOS, because you have to treat these two things pretty differently. So hypothalamic amenorrhea usually comes from over-exercising, under-eating, and or a lot of stress. And it is important to mention that you do not have to be underweight to have that. PCOS, on the other hand, is a pretty complex condition that science does not know, unfortunately, too much about yet, and it also especially doesn't know where it comes from. How do you know if you have this or that? Well, if you're not exercising a lot and or not eating too much and or not having stress but still are missing your period, that might be a sign that you have PCOS. But here's a table of the main symptoms and differences between the two, so you can try to figure out which one you have. But even if you think you know the answer which one you have, please make sure to talk to a doctor and get your hormone levels checked to be as sure as possible, even though you cannot be 100% sure, unfortunately. And there are so many women who are incorrectly diagnosed with PCOS, even though they actually have HA. So as always, go to your doctor, yes, but don't blindly listen to them, but also listen to your own intuition. That being said, let's talk about how I knew that it was HA for me and what even got me into this mess, even though I know stuff about health and nutrition. So I used to have a pretty perfectly regular cycle up until about 2.5 or almost 3 years ago, when I started to take cortisone, which is a medicine that is kind of a fake of our stress hormone, cortisol, because I had an inflammation in my knee and we needed to shut that inflammation down, and cortisone helps with that. But just like cortisol, our natural stress hormone, cortisone, the pill, kind of signals to our body that we're in stress, which can shut down inflammation, but also it can lead to cycle irregularities or just missing periods. And that's not abnormal when you are taking that medicine. But I even didn't have my period after I stopped taking it, because right after I stopped taking the medicine, I started to work out a lot because I had lost a lot of muscle mass and I wanted to gain back my muscles. And also I wanted to get leaner again because I got a little skinny fat. So I went to the gym a lot and I ate very disciplined, aka high protein, low carb, and in a deficit. And I did a couple of other mistakes that I shouldn't have done, that I didn't know better about. Because back then, even though I was already into health and nutrition, I didn't have my certification yet and I didn't know anything about hormone health. So one of the biggest things I shouldn't have done and that I'm begging you to never ever do is I did faster workouts, because I didn't really know that you were not supposed to do that, because guys do that, so why couldn't I? So every morning, about 4 to 5 times a week, I went to the gym without having any food in my system. I worked out for about an hour, went home, didn't have breakfast for about 2 more hours. I had coffee though, because I was intermittent fasting. So I didn't eat before the workout and I didn't eat after. I also checked everything that I ate because I wanted to build muscle, but also lose fat at the same time to get lean in a healthy way. But, I was very ambitious, so I thought, let's do this as efficiently as possible, aka as fast as possible. Again, back then so much I didn't know. And I listened to the calorie count calculators, which told me that I should eat about 1,700 calories, which I did, more or less, on average. So it wasn't crazy little. However, I did get a little bit too obsessive, I think, with the tracking thing. On top of that, I was under a lot of stress because I was building my business, and I was also sleep deprived because I was under a lot of stress, so I couldn't sleep much. Speaking of business, let's take a quick minute to talk about today's sponsor, Foreo. Foreo is a Swedish skincare brand that creates clinically tested products that are designed to make self-care simple yet effective. And I'm particularly a fan of their LED mask, the FAQ 202, which has become a fixed part of my calming evening routine that I wish I had 2 years ago, because it helps me so much to calm down before going to bed, because red light has a very calming effect on your body and mind. But of course, it's not only good for calming down your nervous system, but also or especially for calming down and improving your skin, because red light helps stimulate collagen production and improve skin elasticity, which can reduce fine lines and help maintain a smoother and more even complexion. But Fourier's FAQ 202 doesn't only use red light, but 7 other wavelengths, including blue light, which has been clinically proven to be effective with acne and general inflammation. The mask is super lightweight, wireless, and made from flexible silicone so that it adjusts to any face shape, meaning it's also very comfortable to wear. So if you want to help your mind and your skin to calm down more easily, I really recommend you to try out the FAQ 202 by Foreo. And of course, I secured a discount code for you, so if you want to save an extra 35%, make sure to use the link in my description and my code 35MALU. And if you want to save even more, make sure to take advantage of the current Black Friday sale. So apart from being stressed out a lot and from being sleep deprived and doing my fasted workouts, I think one thing that also kind of made everything a bit worse was that my body fat was getting lower and lower because I was building muscle and losing fat. And also overall, I was getting really, really skinny. I was not underweight yet. I think I didn't really weigh myself that much, just when I went to the doctors or something. Maybe I was slightly underweight, but weight is actually less important here than body fat percentage. Of course, you shouldn't be underweight. There's a reason why it's called underweight, but especially if your body fat percentage is getting very low, that makes it even harder for your body to feel safe, because body fat is a storage of energy, and that storage of energy is kind of a backup plan of your body for when it's in a panicky state. You know, when it thinks that it's starving and it has fat stored, then it's more chill, because it knows, okay, I have some fat that I can eat from. But if you don't have any stored body fat and then are in a caloric deficit and then also have stress and then also work out, your body feels like, oh, shit, I don't even have, backup food in my fat cells, so I'm not gonna have a period now, because as if I have the energy or the food to reproduce now. And also, I do think, even though 17 or 1800 calories is something like the average that I ate, isn't super low, I was working out a lot, and I'm guessing that I was having something called low energy availability. Energy availability, in short, is the calories you eat minus the calories you burn by exercising divided by your lean body mass. And this energy availability should be at least 30 calories per kilo of lean body mass, but better 45 calories per kilo of lean body mass. It shouldn't be lower than these 45 calories for longer than about 2 weeks-ish, because then your body will feel like, whoop, I'm not having enough energy to keep all my normal functions going apart from exercising. And one of these normal bodily functions is your period and ovulation and, the whole cycle thing. Meaning, the more lean muscle mass you have, / the lower your body fat percentage, the more important it is that you eat enough, especially if you work out. So even though I knew that I was not really having my period, I was kind of chill about it, because I thought it just needs time to come back, because it can just take time. So I just kept on doing what I was doing, and then I had a little burnout. I thought back then actually that burnout was from my work, even though I love my work, but I was working way too much. But now, actually looking back, I think it was at least a combination of working too much, but also the other stressors, including being in a caloric deficit, eating low carb, working out like crazy, doing faster workouts, all that good stuff. So I had that burnout, and there I already noticed, okay, I need to chill in every area. So I started to work less, I took more breaks, I stopped intermittent fasting, and I had a little snack before my morning workouts. I reduced my coffee intake. I tried to stress out less. So I did go softer with everything. Still, no period though. And then it was April of 2025, so earlier this year. And then I was like, okay, this is not healthy. This is a sign that I need to change something. I need my period. I started reading into the whole hypothalamic amenorrhea thing, and I read into what the experts say you should do to get your period back ASAP. I didn't do everything they say, because there are some things that I didn't, one thing in particular that I didn't feel comfortable with, but pretty much everything else I did. So here's what the experts say you should do to get your period back as soon as possible. So the most important thing is that your body needs to know that it has enough energy available, meaning eat a lot more. The experts actually say, and by experts I mean in particular the author of this very, very, very helpful book, No Period, Now What, say that you should be eating at least 2,500 calories every day, if not more, depending on your weight and everything. And this is basically the only thing that I didn't do, because at first I did do that for like 2 or 3 days. I didn't want to count calories anymore because that calorie tracking thing felt very obsessive and kind of stressful, but I guesstimated. I tried to overeat to hit those 2,500 calories, and that didn't feel good, because even though it was eating more than I needed, it still didn't feel healthy because I felt a bit sick afterwards, and that also felt like a sort of stress. So I decided to stop that pretty soon after that and just eat till I was very full, but still not uncomfortably full. And especially I started to snack a lot in between meals, which also the experts say you should do, so that your body never thinks, not even for a couple of hours, that there's no food available. To signal to your body that, hey, here's always food. In the morning, for lunch and for dinner, but also in between, whenever you want. So this depends on your history with food, your relationship to food. If you feel like, if you don't force yourself to eat at least 2,500 calories, you eat a lot less than that, maybe you should try to gently convince yourself to eat that much. But if you feel like your relationship to food is in a way that you can actually just listen to your body, just eat whatever you want. Like literally, it doesn't even matter. It can be junk. Obviously, healthy foods are very important also for recovering from HA, but the most important thing here is to let loose of any kind of stress, which includes also unhealthy food restrictions, and to just eat enough energy, aka calories. But next to the amount of calories you should eat, or amount of foods, it's also important to make sure to get enough fats and enough carbs. Yes, you also need protein as always, but when you want to recover, or in general if you want to take care of your hormones, which is why I keep saying in my videos that if you're a woman, you need to eat enough fats and also carbs. You need carbs. Yes, they're not essential for survival. That does not mean that they're not essential for being fully healthy. So especially now, focus on getting enough carbs and enough fats. Also get some protein, obviously, always. But you're eating more than usual anyway, so just don't eat more protein, but eat more carbs and fats. And make sure you get all the micronutrients you need too. And here it can be helpful to supplement, but as always, before you start supplementing anything, please get your blood checked by your doctor to make sure your levels are not too high for these certain kinds of micronutrients. In general, for the average woman, it can be very helpful, especially when recovering from HA, but in general for hormone balance, to take omega-3 fatty acids and or to eat a lot of fatty fish, vitamin D, magnesium, zinc, calcium, B vitamins. These are the supplements that I took, plus vitamin C. And for some women, Vitex might also help. It's also known as chaste tree, and it can help with balancing your hormones. Some people actually get nauseous from it. I actually got nausea from it, so I only took it for like a week and then I stopped again. But for many women, it helps to balance hormone levels and also to get their period back. And also, so-called adaptogens can really help, like ashwagandha or rhodiola rosea, which can help your body adapt to stress, aka to stress out less. But I do have to mention that with things like ashwagandha in particular, you should be careful and to not take it for too long. For ashwagandha, the average advice is to take a break of at least 2 weeks after you've been taking it for 6 weeks. Otherwise, your liver might not be happy. Next to eating enough and to getting all necessary macronutrients, the thing that is also very important, I don't want to say the most important, but very, very important, is to stop exercising. And this might be very difficult for you to hear, at least it was for me, because I love the gym so much. But I did not go to the gym and I didn't work out at all. I did walk, but I didn't count the steps. It was just if it felt like walking, I walked. And I only started to exercise again after 3 or 4 months after having my period, every single month. When I got it back, it came back every 3 to 4 weeks, and I waited at least I think 3.5 months or 4 months until I slowly started with very short and very easy home workouts like Pilates and stuff. If you want to go all in, you don't have to. Some people can actually keep working out and still get their period back, but if you've been trying a lot of things, I really recommend you to say goodbye to the gym, to any kind of workout for just a little while, or at least to drastically reduce the intensity and the amount. And that does not necessarily include walking, but if you stop working out and instead try to get in at least 10 or 20k a day steps a day, that's also a kind of, maybe not stress, but it's also a not restriction, but obsession. And it's also about the mindset thing, the forcing yourself to get these certain amounts of steps if you're not working out. Still, walking is also very good for your mental health. It can also help balance cortisol, which is also very important here for HA recovery. But if you do walk, make sure that it feels like you're actually relaxing and not like you're working out. Now you might be thinking, okay, but if I eat a lot more and also stop working out, won't I be gaining a lot of weight? Probably, and that's not a bad thing. And I get if you are not feeling comfortable when you think about that, depending on where you're coming from. And it's not necessarily necessary to gain weight, especially if you're normal weight, but especially increasing your body fat percentage, which is what I did, can be very, very helpful, if not necessary here. And yes, most women have to gain weight to get their period back. I actually gained about 6 or 7 kilos only of fat. I don't really know, because I used to not really weigh myself. Now I do, because I have a really smart scale that doesn't only tell me my weight, but also my muscle mass and my body fat percentage. But back then I barely weighted myself. How do I know it's only body fat? Well, I didn't work out much. I stopped working out for a couple of months and I ate in a surplus. So, I was gaining fat. And I think that is probably one reason why I got my period back so quickly. I understand if the thought of gaining weight makes you feel uncomfortable, but I'm asking you to prioritize your health. Not having your period is a very, very bad sign. And even if you have to gain weight / fat now, yes, you can lose it in the future, although this can be tricky if in the past your body has responded to weight loss or, working out, eating less with amenorrhea. That can mean that you have to be a bit more careful in the future. But in general, the experts say that once you've restored your period for 3 cycles, aka 3 months, then you can start working out again and maybe also start looking at weight loss again, aka being in a slight caloric deficit. That's what matters. That even if you gain weight for a while, have that weight, be happy that your body now feels safe until it gives you the sign that it feels safe, aka by having your period for at least 3 times in a row, at least. And then after that, if you want to lose weight again, try to make sure that you're mentally not stressed out, so you have that stressor less. Work out, but start slowly. And if you do a calorie deficit, maybe try to do it intuitively, aka without checking, and try to listen to your body's cues and only do a slight deficit, aka just, never be hungry. Never put your body into so much stress that it's starving. And if you do it that slowly, you can absolutely lose weight again after recovering. But please give your body enough time for that. Now, next to eating more, working out less, maybe gaining a little bit of weight, something that is very, very helpful for everything is to reduce your stress by things like meditation, maybe therapy, maybe journaling, maybe taking calm, relaxing walks, whatever helps you, and especially sleeping more. Getting enough and high quality sleep is key for everything, and it helps with so many things, including with signaling to your body that it's all good, because you have the time to rest and regain your strength. So make sure to sleep enough and to sleep well. If you want to see an example of what I ate and what I did during my recovery phase, have a look at this video right here. Thank you so much for watching, and remember to always be kind to your body. When you do that and when you listen to its cues, you will get your period back. I am positive. I believe in you. Let me know in the comments how your journey is going, and I will see you in my next video.